What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Tottenham Talk. We are finally back after weeks of technical difficulties here, technical difficulties there, issues here, can't make it there. So we are finally back and on schedule. And Matt, what are we going to talk about today?
Dude, we have some major Premier League games that we played. And Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
Unfortunate 3-0 loss. But hey, whatever. Beat Burnley 1-0.
Hold up. I think we got some more important things to discuss.
I think you're right.
Nuno was sacked this morning.
Who gives a shit about losing to Man United?
Let's get into this.
Let's talk about Conte. Yeah?
Conte, a little bit of Conte discussion, a little bit of Nuno discussion. Was this right? Was this wrong? How are we feeling about it overall?
You know what's so interesting? Clay, I'm going to get right into this.
All right, let's go.
48
He doesn't even let me finish the intro. Let's get it.
48 hours ago, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was on the verge of getting sacked, and Antonio Conte was going to replace him, is what it looked like. But now tables have turned, and Spurs are the ones looking to get a new manager because Mr. Nuno doesn't know how to play soccer. But I'm sure he can do better than I can. But hey, I guess we have to find that one out. But I will say too, getting into this episode, Clay, I mean, a lot of talk about it in a way, but at the same time, it's all going to become overarching topic of Conte potentially signing his
new manager, right?
A new contract for Tottenham. Right now, it's not. As we're recording this episode, it's not official yet. We have been getting notifications throughout this morning of it being very, very likely. So nothing's confirmed yet, but it is looking to be that way. But this is so fun. This is so exciting because Conte is so awesome. But it's so weird. We keep getting ex-Chelsea players and ex-Chelsea managers.
You get the Chelsea rejects.
We keep getting ex-Porto managers too. Nuno, and Jose were both Porto managers. It doesn't matter. Fuck Nuno.
All right, let's hop into it. So Nuno sacked, right? I think first thing we got to discuss is was this warranted? Were you
just out of nowhere?
Were you Nuno out? Okay, well let's back up a little bit because you just said it yourself, right? Not 3 days ago, the narrative was before El Sacico is what they called it.
El Sacico?
Yeah, the game between United and Tottenham. Ole was on the outs.
Whoever loses this match is getting sacked, practically.
Essentially, so for us, I did not feel like we were actually going to sack Nuno if we lost this game. And next thing you know, he's gone and like that. But what would have happened if Ole lost the game, if Spurs won, even if it was our typical 1-0 win under Nuno? Would we have kept him? Would Ole have been sacked? And now Man U are looking at Conte. So it's crazy, right? It's just the way the cookie crumbles. You know what I mean?
The way the cookie crumbles, guys.
So let's. What are your initial reactions? Do you think deserved to be sacked?
To be honest, I was shocked. I was honestly more Poch is coming back type thing. But I was more because this is something that I feel like Daniel wouldn't really do out of nowhere. But I felt like we've had too many 3-0 losses in the last 6, 7, 8 games, I guess, especially against top teams. And we lost now 3-0 to Chelsea at home, 3-0 to United at home.
Arsenal
was 3-0.
I think 3-0, right?
No, we won. Or no, we scored. Sorry, 3-1. But games like that, we're putting in, or our opponents are putting in, 3 goals a game, which is so unacceptable, especially putting
right.
So initial thought, I was like, you know what, give him some time, maybe let him take the year. But I think a lot of this doing of him being sacked was a lot of Patrici.
Yeah. So I'll give my initial reaction and we'll go off that because that's a good point. I was astonished. I mean, absolutely astonished. The fact that yes. I agree. If we get Conte, it's all worth it, regardless. But that being said, the fact that we live in a time where a manager is not even given 4 full months and a full preseason with his team is kind of crazy if you think about it. I'm a little embarrassed that we hired someone just to fire them within not even 4 full months. Not even 4 full months.
We're just wasting money now.
well, it's a waste of money. It's a shows that the club doesn't know what they're doing. Where now we're going after a manager that literally denied us in the summer because we didn't meet the ambitions of him, but now we meet the ambitions of him. So I'm just terribly confused on Enoch and Daniel Levy, because if they pulled their head out of their
and
ass, pardon my French, then maybe we would have gotten Conte in the summer and we'd be sitting in a totally different spot, right? The good news is, and here's why I think they did this. They let Jose go, right? And they gave him a chance. Really didn't give him that much of a chance if you think about it, but they still gave him more of a chance. Heck, you got people talking about giving Ole a chance, and he's been there over a year, versus our boy Nuno doesn't even get 4 months, right? And I'm not saying it was the wrong decision. I think Nuno came into a club that was in shambles, and he had to deal with a lot of big personalities, one big personality in particular, Harry Kane, the star of the team, who couldn't even bother to give 50% effort week in, week out. And, as a role model to younger players, that's unacceptable. And it's embarrassing, and it's heartbreaking, from what that Harry Kane player used to be.
I'm curious to know him and Conte's relationship going to be, if Conte does end up,
It'll be interesting.
That's a topic that you bring up, though. I'm going to stop you real quick because I think that's something we could elaborate on for a couple minutes. Just like with the Harry Kane situation. I mean, nothing against Nuno, but I think right now it's fair to back Nuno in a way of feeling some sympathy for him.
Totally.
Due to just, not being there that long, but he was brought in at one of the hardest times to kind of change a club, obviously not given any time to do so. But with the Kane situation, I feel like that was handled in a way where Daniel kind of put all his kind of shit on his plate onto Nuno, and
totally.
Nuno kind of dealt with it, but I thought Nuno dealt with it very, very well individually and with the press.
Totally.
And it's unfortunate how the situation has now come about with Nuno now being sacked. But I think looking back, completely unfair, because Nuno did everything he could to see what Kane wanted. And obviously Nuno only can do so much.
Yeah.
He has no control over transfers or anything like that. But I think this whole scenario, this whole situation now with Conte coming in is more of a Daniel Levy and the board kind of saying, okay, we messed up. Let's now commit. Because I saw a tweet that said we turned down $17 million for Graham Potter. And I sat, and who knows if that's true? Who knows if the money's true? Who knows?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. But the concept is what I want to talk about. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, 17 million for a manager is a lot of money on top of paying salary just for a flipping manager, but when you have someone who's quality on the soccer field, it's the same way I look at them if they're quality, up here mentally on the sideline coaching, and that's why I think AC Milan's manager is so, that's why I think AC Milan, they're so good. Not only
Roma yesterday.
Yeah, not because their players are good, but I feel they're starting Zlatan up top, and they're top of the table, a 40-year-old. Isn't that nuts? And so, looking back now at these, having now 3 managers in the course of 2 years, which is wild. It's interesting to see now necessarily what the new manager's intentions are, but more importantly, what Daniel Levy and Patrici's ambitions are, because we originally had Jose and then we went to Nuno, and this whole entire time we could have gotten Conte a lot sooner, but obviously there were some issues before. So why now is it, so now you answer that question, why now? Why now is he coming? Well, I think the board and some of the guys with, higher authority, I think are now realizing we should have probably done this beforehand.
Totally.
We just missed the summer. So who knows what we do now, but it's an interesting take, because the situation and the kind of the state of the club, it's unfair for Nuno to come in at a time like that.
Yeah, you're right. And I think what I'd really be interested to see, and it's not going to happen, that's not how the world works, but I'd love almost a apology or a letter from Daniel Levy saying, hey guys, listen, I messed up, and that's not going to happen, because I don't think it was a mess up hiring Nuno. I think Nuno's a stand-up guy. He can be a great manager. I think it was a timing issue with Spurs right now. And, You know what? Honestly, he could have been successful if he was given more time, and if Kane left and we bought Vlahovic or something, for example. I think it could be a totally different story. I think he was sent in with a ton of chaos right at the club. But that being said, Nuno's out, right? Levy, I think you hit the nail on the head. Levy realized that they screwed up this summer, and to answer, we tweeted out today a little question asking, do we have any thoughts? Because obviously, new manager recording today. Let's see what we got. We only have one question, but it's kind of talking about what we've been talking about, right? Tor Gear 91 said, "What's changed between now and the summer when Conte was in talks then? Apart from the obvious of Nuno's term at Spurs being rubbish, to say the least, has Mr. Levy had a personality transplant and going to now bring out the checkbook?" So I think there's two things to this, right? One, Levy's willing to pay the money. And two, Levy understands the ambitions now. I think Levy was so preoccupied with Harry Kane and keeping Harry Kane, because on paper, Harry Kane is Harry Kane, that he didn't realize, what? If Harry Kane wants to leave, Harry Kane might not be Harry Kane, if you know what I mean. He might not produce what he wants to produce, which we're all seeing right now, I think Harry Kane is right now kind of being a parasite on the team, and especially under Nuno he was sucking life up from other players. He was not trying his hardest, and I struggled to say that because it's hard to say someone's not trying their hardest, but when you saw the Mikel Antonio goal was the showstopper for me, because when you see that replay, yes, people jumped and missed, but I mean, I've headed a million balls after the ball's gone over other people, and
straight up laziness.
Harry Kane didn't try, he didn't care, right? So you're dealing with that, and I think that's essentially the two reasons, right? Levy said, you know what? Now I'm ready to pay. I've messed up. And secondly, he needs to realize the ambitions that Antonio Conte wanted. I think yes, money was an issue for Conte, but I think the biggest thing was he didn't match the ambitions of the club. The club didn't match his ambitions.
That's why him and Inter didn't go along too, because Inter doesn't have any money at the moment. And he was like, listen, if you want me to keep up with what I'm doing, I need to get new players. And I think that's why at that point they're like, we can't. And so that's why him or Inter and Conte both had like a mutual agreement of going their separate ways. But as you're talking, Clay, I'm reading some of these articles about about Nuno being sacked, and super interesting stuff just all over. And some of these titles are kind of crazy. Like there's one title saying Tottenham sacked Nuno after 17 games in charge. ESPN.
17 games. Is that not wild to you? Like think about that.
Isn't that wild?
It's speaking from an American.
There's a video and there's everything. Like it's like right here. It says Spurs also lost in London rivals Chelsea, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, West Ham, and United. 5 games that, honestly, all those games we could have won besides Chelsea.
Yeah, I think
West Ham.
I think it's interesting, Matt, because he won. Nuno
worst goal difference of -7.
Wait, listen to this. This is
-7, Clay.
This is comical. So Tottenham, they love breaking records, good and also bad, mostly bad.
Bad road.
I think this has got to be the first time that a manager in his first month in charge has won Manager of the Month and then got
sacked
2 months later. Right?
So he was Manager of the Month when?
In August,
and he got sacked in November.
That's crazy.
What an accomplishment!
So now, and jokes aside, let's kind of dive in a little bit more on Conte and why we think he might be the right fit for Spurs. What does Spurs need under him, right? I think we've talked. I'll start because my boy Vlahovic. We were saying it this summer, man.
Hey, I know Vlahovic, someone, but don't sleep on fucking Simone. Sorry for the language. Simone's son at Hells Verona.
No, I agree, but Matt, you got to see. Look, he's putting up Erling Haaland numbers. He has 25 goals.
That is wild.
It's one of those things that Aaron Pitters, our friend on Twitter, he was talking up Vlahovic so much, and we talked with him like a couple times.
He's so young.
He's so young. The confidence is there. The mentality is there. He's ready to be that piece. And maybe it's even better that he's had a great start to the season and that he can move mid-season with that like fire and confidence, just that little more he needed. And then you got to think we got Pape Matar coming in next year, and we got
Pape Sarro.
So who do you? So then people. Apparently, I saw something that said Conte wanted 5 Serie A signings in January. I think Frank Kessie.
Who knows if those players are actually accurate though?
No, I know, but we won't get 5 players in January. That's not going to happen.
Are you kidding me?
Especially
like I saw Chiesa was on that. Really?
Yeah. No, but I mean, you gotta go big and be ambitious, right? Right. That's the whole point, and that's what. If we agree to Conte, there's no excuse, right? Empty your pockets, Levy. It's time. It's time. I mean, you see, he sees it everywhere. Looks like Newcastle got the takeover, obviously, and then West Ham looks like they might get some billionaire owners. We have billionaire owners. We do. That's just that. We do have them. Now it's just time for them to dish out the money, right? So, what does Conte mean? What does Conte mean for you now that he's going to be Spurs manager? What does that mean?
I think. Oh my God! This is the way I look at it is he's going to be there now for a couple of years. I don't think he'll be sacked anytime soon, whether we do bad or good. We could finish 16th for all I care. I'm so happy he's here, because I'll tell you right now, in a couple of years, we'll be one of the better teams, if not up there where we should be. And as we were in the past,
So do you think it'll take a couple of years?
Oh yeah, it's going to take a couple of years, and I don't think Kane's going to be in that project, to be honest with you. But I mean, that's fine. He can go for all I care, to be honest.
I agree.
I'll take that money any day.
Well, you think
anyone value that much? Be my guest. No one's ever valued that much for me. No one. If you're telling me right now that someone's going to go out and give 30 million for Kane, when I'm going to go out and pay half that for a 20-year-old that's putting the same numbers up, sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, I am so excited for Conte.
Totally.
There's a couple reasons why. One thing that I think is so difficult, and to give props to Daniel Levy and some other, I guess, members of the board, is it is hard to find managers to play in the Premier League or to coach in the Premier League. Premier League is the hardest league out there. Right there, though, second in terms of difficulty, I think, is the Serie A. And I am thrilled Conte's coming due to the fact that his style of play is, I think, exceptional. If you watched him in the Serie A last year with Inter, and Lukaku and Lautaro, and he had a great squad. But he played a 3-5-2. He played it really well. I don't know if he could do that yet. We might need the likes of Barella before we do that, but he might be all our money. Anyways, point is, Conte has been very successful in the past, even in the Prem and other leagues as well. But one thing I think he will bring is a different mentality to the game, but also the way he coaches, and just simply the what's the word? Give me a second. His
mentality.
His reputation is already pretty high due to just his achievements in the past.
Totally.
And I think one thing to keep in mind is now Daniel. I think in the past Daniel Levy had goals in mind, but never aligned up with the goals that the manager necessarily had. I thought, because yes, you could say, "Oh, our goal is to win a trophy." Okay, yes, but realistically, right now, what is a goal of ours? We're not going to win a trophy this year.
Yeah, it's like you have to. Well, we could.
We could, yeah. So I'm curious to know what Daniel Levy's goals were last year or the year before prior to having these managers, because I'm curious to know if these managers come in and be like, "Listen, you're not going to win it. We're not going to be able to win a trophy this year," or blah 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 blah. And I'm curious to know if it's time now. Daniel Levy's gotten to a point where he's kind of committed and put his trust into the guys that he needs to put his trust in. Because he can't do it all. And it's come down to now 2 different managers he's had after Poch, because, it's unfortunate how Tottenham came and became Tottenham. We really boosted ourselves when Poch was at our club, and we got a new stadium. 4 years ago we got a new stadium. And with all this stuff going on, and then COVID, Tottenham's been in really a bad place. Just with morale of the players and stuff. And I'm really hoping that Daniel and Patrici really put, their trust and hopes in Conte and, offload players that we don't need and get players that we do need. I feel like there's too much talk of that and not enough action.
Totally
There's times where like Winks, we have him going to Aston Villa or something. And like being a Tottenham fan, I love Winks, but do I think he's good enough to play for Tottenham right now? No. That's okay though.
Yeah.
Let him go play somewhere else to get better. And in addition, let's get some money for him. Because from what I see, there's $40 million sitting just on the sideline.
Yeah.
When we could use that somewhere else. Or
not even sitting on the sideline. Sometimes they don't even make the bench.
So like, I feel like the utilization of money has kind of been poor in the last couple of years. And who knows? I mean, that's just an opinion of mine, but like, I feel like it's just, if you're not going to utilize certain guys, I think it's very important then, to utilize the value that they bring, whether that's to keep them or to sell them. And if it's, that difficult to, who knows? I mean, transfers, I'm sure, are not easy. And I'm sure it's not the easiest just to sell someone, as it would be in career mode. But, it's to a point or to some extent where, you obviously have to think that, have empathy for the player and to see what they want, obviously. But like, again, Danielle is in the position to do what's best for the club. And I think it's past that time now to what he should have been doing in the past. I mean, I think the moment that Vertonghen left and our back line kind of went shit is when we should have done our rebuild.
Yeah.
And we didn't do it. And it sucks.
Well, no, the thing is when we should have done a rebuild is when we didn't spend any money that summer with Poch. And he said it in interviews. He's like, we are a great team right now. And there's a reason you look at Liverpool, when you're at the top, you think, oh, we're fine. We don't need anyone. Yes, but players get old, players get hurt. Things happen, where
not only like other teams get better. Like,
yes,
it's not just we're in the transfer window. Other teams are spending money as well. So how are you able to not just keep up with that? That makes no sense to me.
Right.
Unless you have no funds, okay, that makes sense. But we're not going to spend money because we were good last year.
Yeah, totally. So let's talk about it, right? Conte, assuming he comes in, right? Like we said, he hasn't been confirmed yet. You never know what Spurs are going to do to us, but knock on wood that he does end up actually coming, and we don't get a last minute, oh, sorry, no deal. Who are your first two players that you want brought in January, and first two players that you think, 2 or 3 players that you think need to go in January?
First two players brought in?
Yeah. And then
Franck
also
Kessié.
Okay. Yep.
Franck Kessié and a center back.
Not Vlahovic?
You probably like my third. But we need a true DM. We need a true DM, and we need to offload Winks. And then we need to offload someone in our back line, whether that's Dyer or Sanchez, and get a starter who will go back there with Romero. Then their back line set for your starting lineup. And then your striker comes, you think about getting the striker when you've got Kane gone.
Yeah, I think Kane will be gone in January.
It's
tough now because we don't know how he's going to respond to Conte. He could be like flip the switch and all of a sudden he's on again.
And that's the thing too. So like, we're not obviously in need of a striker because we have one that's good. He's just not playing like he should.
I think we're in need of a striker. I'm so disappointed
in a way, yes.
But we're not
in a position where we don't have a striker. As opposed
to it feels like it. And I'm going to push back, Matt. It feels like it. Like when I've watched Spurs this year, it feels like we don't have a striker, and it hurts to watch Harry Kane. Like I'd much rather have.
You're saying that to a point to where in our next summer when transfer window, you would rather get a striker than a center back.
At this point, right? If we never know what's going to happen in the next 3 months, right? Two months. Wow. But assuming that we're the exact same place where we are now, yes, I'd rather get a striker. I really would. We
tough.
But to my point, that's why I didn't say one player. So I'll give you mine. I would get Vlahovic, number 1, because, well, 1, we need a striker, but 2, that talent right there is too big to pass up on. You cannot afford to let him go just because, well, right now we have Harry, maybe in the summer. No, because someone else is going to pick him up and you're going to miss out on another Grealish, another Eden Hazard, all those players that we've missed out on over the years. Yep. Those players that we've missed out on over the years, that you hear people talking about, they're like, oh yeah, I tried to get this guy, but Levy said no, or stuff like that.
Or Ish would say it's impossible in January.
Right. So Vlahovic in, I agree, Frank Kessié in, and then
the thing with Frank, though, I don't think he would count because he's out of contract next year, and he hasn't re-signed with AC Milan yet.
Yeah, but he'd still be. We'd still have to pay.
That's fair, but there wouldn't be a transfer fee, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, if we waited till there wasn't a transfer fee, someone else would pick him up.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that is because there's been articles about him linked to Tottenham, as the main club to go to, because of Patrici, and we offered him $8 million a year as opposed to $7 million is what AC Milan offered, and so he hasn't re-signed yet. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
No, I can totally see it. But the thing we've seen in the past is that the minute we stall on a player, bigger club in terms of worldview picks him up. But that being said, so Frank Kessié and Vlahovic are two important ones for me. I also think a center back. Yeah, I mean,
a center back.
Yeah, I'd offload
Dyer. Nothing against Dyer,
but I also think a creative midfielder is so important for us right now. I mean, we have Tanguy and Gio.
We need a creative. We have Tanguy. If we have Tanguy in the midfield and Kessié sitting, oh my God.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. So
oh my God,
I'm making my choice now. Vlahovic, Frank Kessié, and then third center back. And then
I mean, and that's so interesting because and that's so nice with Conte is because he in the past and with Inter he ran a 3-5-2. I mean, that was the most common formation he always ran. I mean, he had Lukaku though and Lautaro, but he ran a 3-back. And it's interesting to see with us who he'd run in a 3-back.
Yeah.
But Romero and I don't even know if Regi would play as a 3-back. He'd probably be more.
He'd be the wing back for sure. I think so. Well, that'll be.
Emerson would probably. I don't know if Emerson would be it. Ooh.
He'd be wing back too. Tanganga maybe.
So I don't know. I think Tanganga will remind Conte a lot if he accepts of Bastoni. Bastoni is a very, very young center back for Inter. Our age maybe, and he starts. I mean, he's phenomenal. But I'm very curious to know on how we will play like that. Because you will see a difference when we get a couple games under him, if we obviously do get him.
So excited.
We should. You will see a difference on how we play. Oh my God. And I'm so excited because it's so frustrating with, when people say, oh, you're a Tottenham fan, ooh, stuff like that. It's so unfortunate because we're good and we were good in the past, but we're not anymore. As least not right now. And nothing as a conference league, but I mean, what even is that?
Yeah. No, it's a great opportunity to get a trophy and play.
I know it is. It is. It's frustrating in a way though, because who knows how you go about it. Obviously you want to get a trophy and a trophy's a trophy, but in a way, I think the Prem is what we want to focus on.
Totally. I think Nuno went about the conference league in a perfect way. I mean,
if we lose a conference league, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Although I just did place a bet. I did just place a bet when I saw that Conte is going to be our manager on us winning the conference league.
I know you put $50 to win what?
250.
Yeah. Who knows?
But anyway,
I mean, we should not.
Yeah. So, but to my point, I never got to say who I was going to offload. I think Winks is gone, Dele's gone, and Sanchez is gone. At least.
Okay. I would any attackers?
And Kane.
Oh.
But
Lo Celso needs to pick his game up.
I feel terrible. It's one of those things. And Bergwijn. Bergwijn could also be.
Bergwijn was someone I was just thinking about. Give him out on loan. Let him go play for Southampton. My God.
I don't think that's going to do anything. It's so hard with Bergwijn right now.
I know. I don't know if he's someone you just let go because if you say you bring in likes of Chiesa, which is so unlikely, but say he does come in. I mean, Bergwijn's not going to see the pitch.
Oh.
So that's one thing that you got to look into. With Conte is I'm curious to know who he will offload because I don't think he's gonna necessarily be
tough.
I mean, he had Eriksson. So, I mean, there's some Tottenham correlation right there. And I'm curious to know on.
We could get Eriksson back. I saw a rumor about that because Italy's not letting him play. Did you see that?
Because of his pacemaker? Well, anyways, I don't know. Anyways, I mean, I love Conte. I think he will do something great for us, and I'm hoping he will. But it's challenging to stay optimistic when you don't even have a manager at the moment, and your top striker could be one of the best in the world who doesn't even try.
It's heartbreaking.
It's very, very frustrating in some way, of course, but like I said, as a fan,
thing that I like. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, like, it's just, you had Ronald Koeman get sacked a couple days ago as well from Barca, and it's challenging just as managers to be successful. And obviously you don't hear about those managers who do get sacked, and at not maybe the bigger clubs, but mid-table clubs, but I think it's so important that the team and the manager have the same goals in mind as the board. They all have to have the same goal in mind. And I feel like Tottenham's Tottenham, I think, has the past couple of years, especially with the run that we went on, has now mistaken to what maybe is a dream as opposed to what's reality. And I think the dream was, oh my God, we could have won Champions League. But that would have been more of a one and done, I think, for like 10 years if we did end up winning that. I don't think that would have been something that we would have been able to do on a second, on another day. Now, I think that run kind of put us on cloud 9. And the moment that things didn't go well for us, our answers were to sack our manager.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that went into that, but because we were playing terribly in the Premier League that spring, we barely made top 4.
Yeah, I know,
and we were on pace to challenge for the title. So
true, because I remember that season too. We went like lost, and we barely clinched out top 4. And it's super interesting just to see like what transitions that way. Obviously, I think that Champions League final really took a toll on us.
Yeah, of course.
It's unfortunate that happened, but I think that was a good example, perfect example as Daniel Levy, Poch, and the players all having the same goal in mind. And at that time, it's different because Tottenham's at that time, Tottenham was an up-and-coming club. Hey, listen, we're underdogs in the majority of games we play. Okay. Now, though, we're not. We should be, that would suck. But I'm saying in terms of when we play against United, it's not, that's the game to watch. When Tottenham plays at 12:30 against Crystal Palace, that's a game to watch, as opposed to, City playing, Crystal Palace. It's
totally.
We have that reputation as a club, and I think it's time to try to earn it back, especially from our fans' perspective. Because
totally.
I mean, how many people booed us on Saturday? Everyone booed. Everybody booed, and I was loving it. Because it's finally showing. It's us finally not like protesting. I'm not saying protesting because I don't think that was that. It was more of a, you hear me out now, Daniel. You've got almost 60,000 fans booing you because you don't know how to run the club right now in the last couple of years.
I think that's tough because from a player's perspective, it's ruined. Stevie thought they were booing him.
Huh?
Stevie thought they were booing him.
Bergwijn?
Yeah.
Oh.
You look at the clip. How are you supposed to play if the minute you come on, the entire stadium's booing? That's terrible, in my opinion. That's terrible. But that aside, we're rambling now. But
in a way, it's terrible, yes. But in a way, I'm glad something has happened because I feel like now our voices have been heard.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said,
when's the last time our own fans booed in our stadium like that?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, that's
in a way, I feel like it's kind of pushed us.
It might have pushed him, but
in the direction. But I mean, it is unfortunate that some players thought they were booing him, but Lo Celso was booed when he took a poor corner kick.
Yeah, you shouldn't boo your own players no matter what, in my opinion.
That's fair.
But anyway, Conte coming in, Nuno out, the changing of powers again for the second time this year, third time if you count Ryan Mason. So
Ryan Mason, the one manager who has not been sacked.
True. But what an episode, and what a future we have ahead of us as Tottenham fans. So thank you for listening, guys. This is a huge Nuno out, Conte in episode. So thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time. And as always, come on, you Spurs.